My mom was living in a mobile home down in Florida, and her house got destroyed by a hurricane. We were trying to figure out a solution to provide her housing. And so doing research on the internet, came across the tiny house movement. It just seemed like a perfect fit for her. It was something I could build up in Georgia where I live and take down to her. It was something I could manage to build. It was easy to build. So it just fit all these different criteria that I was looking for. And so I built the house up there and surprised her one day and took it down to her. And she lived in it for 5 years. So I'm gonna make this one even. I'll put a couple in there. There's a square on the bottom. But I think we kind of suspected that a little bit yesterday when we put it up. Most people that are interested in the tiny house movement are financially motivated because houses are so cheap to make and they're extremely cheap to live in. But then there's also a large segment that's interested in the simplicity of it, just the idea of being able to get rid of all your stuff. And when people shed that, all of a sudden it's like a light bulb turns on for them. So when you guys do this, all the right-handers out there, you're gonna hold it like this. And that guard automatically, as you push through the material, that guard automatically moves out of the way. The tiny house movement is primarily DIY. So about 85% of people that are living in tiny houses are building them themselves. And so we host a workshop here on the property where usually about 30 to 35 people show up, and we go through all the basics over 2 days. And these are a lot of people that have never used tools before. And so they're coming in here, getting to their hands on tools for the first time. And so it can be really empowering. Electrical and plumbing, I think, are some of the harder things that people struggle with, and that's because you really can't see them. The whole point of these workshops is to demystify and teach people and make people realize that none of this stuff is really that hard. So we have one wire here, and I turn this light switch off, that cuts that power. This one doesn't get power, can never turn the light on. There's people out there that are building tiny houses that you would never expect to be building tiny houses. There's young couples that have no experience. There's people that are retired. So there's everybody can do it. This is something that people are doing that you wouldn't think would be able to do it.
SCADPAD was actually designed to fit within one parking space. So we are looking at actually taking these underutilized but well-structured buildings, which are parking garages, and utilizing them for housing for the millennial. I think the millennial is not looking for bigger. Units are getting smaller and smarter. They're getting to where they're more functional and but also really work with the daylight that comes into the spaces. So it becomes really a combination of form and function. There are millions of people who are moving back into the city. They have to have a place to live. They have to be able to live there, hopefully in a sustainable manner, and they're going to be very close to one another. What SCADPAD tries to do is provide those communal spaces which are both of delight but also functional, such as the community garden that is provided and the bubble area, which is all about really just kind of going outside yourself and having a good time and sharing that space with those around you.
I like a simple life. I'm a simple kind of guy and I like to live that way. Things did not make me happy. So accumulating a lot of possessions did not make me happy.
So there's this set of that goes up and down, but then there's a set of rafters that go from the ridge beam down to the base.
That's that right there.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Exactly.
Yep, that
and
makes
so
sense.
right underneath this, there's
The reason I'm building a tiny house is I've had a traditional house before, and I've had to pay mortgages before. I had a lot of stuff in these houses, and they were full. They were full of things, but those things really didn't make me happy. I think the simpler life is more what I want, and a tiny house is the ultimate way to live a simple life.